Baricanna has seen a huge amount of progress since the last update video I made. After all, just from this initial scene that you may remember from the previous video, there's a lot of new things added in. Like you've got a sign here, for example, you got the save point here, another sign, you've got NPCs over here. The debug panel has been changed around a good bit as well. There's been just so many different changes. So, what's going on with all these objects? Like, how do you read one of these signs? Like, what do you do with them? Well, as you notice, it's pointing to the left, so if you walk off the left edge of the map like that, it will actually change the level map to that specific place. If it doesn't have anything, it's either right next to a save point, or it's also by a passage where it'll tell you where that passage leads, which I'll be covering in a short bit. So, to read a sign, which there is some extra text associated with them, press and hold up like that, and then press enter. That activates the speech system. This is actually the default speed at which the text will appear. It appears one character at a time every 10 cycles, and there are 240 cycles per second, basically. And when you're done, you saw that X, you just press jump confirm and you're all set. But if you want to quickly jump through the text, just press the jump confirm, you can immediately jump through it all. That X just means that it's the end of the speech, because there's nothing else left. If you want to read through what these signs and stuff say, basically, then in that case, just pause the video repeatedly. NPCs are a little different. Like this one's in the background, this one's in the background, but this one's in the foreground. There's a difference. To activate one that's in the background, press and hold up like this, and then press jump confirm. And then from there, you can, of course, read the details from that. Okay, that's basically all there is to it. So feel free to pause the video if you want to read through all this, just for some insights on the future and other extremes and various tactics and other things that you can do as well. You might also notice the debug panel's certainly a fair bit different as well. I made a major overhaul on the debug panel. You might also be wondering, what's with those icons anyway, like that X there, for example? The main thing is, those icons tell you how you can advance. Notice the clock icon there? That means it's a stop point, as I call it, requiring manual advancement. And I do see like there's a bug there that I need to fix as well. And that arrow to the right means it's going to be another character to immediately follow. Those are from jump points that I've added in. I've created a very in-depth text system, effectively. And if you see a down arrow, like that one for example, that means there's more speech to follow for the same character, but it doesn't fit on the 3 lines. You can choose to advance between 1, 2, or 3 lines at a time. Right now I have it set to being 3. But that's the default. Just thought you'd be interested. It took me a very long time getting all that speech stuff set, and of course the X there means it's all done. Off to King Baricanna right here, which involves automatic stop points, and there are quite a few of those with this. But of course, as you can see how the debug panel is always constantly advancing. And you got that for the next character. So what's the deal with these stop points anyway, you're probably wondering. Stop points, well, if you remember from my books, like for example The Secret in the Basement, you may remember something like a character having 2-second pause or half-second pause and other similar things like that. That is exactly what stop points are. They're mostly kind of intended for having the speech itself showing up while events are still going on. It's primarily what the intended purpose of that is. They can go all the way up to 31 seconds. This particular one is actually 20 seconds. But of course, it's just for testing purposes, because gotta love testing, make sure everything's working right. And then of course you got the manual stops here, which this one's 3 seconds because there's 240 cycles per second, as you may remember. Like right here is a 6-second pause. Of course, when you have a stop point active, you won't be able to advance or force advance the text anymore. The glossary section is a unique feature that I have planned. Some of these details are still uncertain, of course. They may be changed later on, depending on how things go. And Ingrid Larine is this extremely colorful character here. As far as question prompts go, just simply press down or up to change between options, and when you want to select an option, just press the usual jump confirm button. Isn't that such a familiar thing? I'll let you, of course, do the usual of pausing the video if you want to read through all this. (1164) characters. That's a lot of text to have to display in one, which is why I have the feature to that down arrow thing so you can display more lines at once. Like that big 1369 there. Hoofta. That's a big one. And of course, you got the last question here. Only 50. And of course, when you're all done, you just there's 2 options available. The first one, of course, you can just manually choose the last option on there. Or, like for example, if you accidentally speak with the same NPC again, you can just press the attack cancel button and it'll automatically choose the very last option. Just for convenience purposes, especially when you're going through a town. Now, as far as the rest of the area goes, you remember this for the test level, right? Well, ladders are pretty basic. If you want to use a ladder, you just simply stand in front of it like this and press up or down to climb it. But of course, if you're already at the bottom of a ladder, all you'll do is just look down. If you want to look up, you just look up like that, press and hold up. So, to climb up a ladder, you just press and hold up or down, and you can freely climb around as necessary. Of course, you can also grab on to a ladder and climb up that way. Of course, when you're at the top, you'll just look up only. But from the very top, you just press down and you can start looking down again, or climbing down. You can also repeatedly jump and to climb up a ladder. Speedrunners take note. So what are those odd, white, sharp, pointy looking things there? Those are spikes. Don't touch. Ooh, boy, did you see that damage pop up? Those things are nice and sharp. And boy, those are nice and sharp. Whew. And this, of course, is a treasure chest. To open a treasure chest, all you gotta do is press and hold up and press jump confirm to open it. Except some treasure chests happen to be locked. So that means you'll gotta go find a key, a specific kind of key anyway, to be able to open it. Because otherwise, you just ain't gonna be able to get anywhere. I missed the spikes. You might also notice the H has changed from green to kind of a yellow-orange color. That's a warning that you're getting low. That's at 50% that it happens. And this is a treasure chest key, in case you're wondering what all the specific keys are. To grab a treasure chest key, all you got to do is just simply touch it. But if you look closely, you can see that it glints. Let me activate debug pause mode and advance frames one at a time. And then eventually, it's like every 2 seconds, like this, you can see it starting to glint like that. And then of course it's back to normal. So touch it to grab it. So what's with the other keys here? Well, I'll explain that with my debug panel. I'll cover that one next while I'm at it. I have multiple pages available on my debug panel. This is just my initial upfront first thing that I see kind of thing. But if I press certain buttons, I can cycle between all the various options here. General game data, which shows like frame rate and stuff like that, but of course a lot of it's got placeholders, for example. And of course there's also that SCL, which is system clock. That always goes, even when I'm in debug pause mode, it's always going, just for your reference, because that's referencing an external thing and it's nothing to do with my program, so it's always updating. Of course, that collection status, all that's just a bunch of flags that I've yet to actually work in at the moment. But it just goes to show you just how much detail how much stuff I can monitor and stuff like that. Of course, a lot of this is just placeholders, like that experience amount. That's actually the maximum that you can absolutely have. But to get level 999, it's actually only about 5 million less than that, which is already a lot to begin with. But the last level takes 21 million experience to get, roughly. You can probably also see how you got your speed, that's the SP, you got your X position, Y position, you got act for action, so you can see what exactly is going on. You can see timers counting, stuff like that. All this stuff I can use to monitor every little possible detail I've got in this game. So that way, if I find something that's unusual, I just go to the specific page and I jump accordingly. Monitor it for testing purposes. Of course, for the hero, I got the character's name there. Shannon Trenna is the default name. And of course, this one's kind of more or less the same, but you can also see the bounding box. And of course, I can also toggle between bounding box mode, so you can see what the actual bounding box itself looks like. So that way I can test collision related stuff if something is not working right or something feels off. So, just more testing. Gotta love it. And you might also be wondering, what's with this object collision stuff? Why is that empty? That's because I had to overhaul the system, and with that, a lot of things got changed. A lot of this is going to get moved over into either here or on a whole nother page. Of course, I have yet to work in the NPC information, but right now I just don't have much to really focus on. But I just got a main data, which has got the stats and stuff, and collision, stuff like that. And then we start getting into the objects here. Lots and lots of objects. And of course, you got monsters. You got the menus. You got story-related stuff, which I can actually put that speech-related stuff into that. Got the level builder stuff, which I'm going to be working on very shortly after I get this video done. And of course I got other things that I have no idea what else I'm going to have. And then it's right back to that. And as far as the objects ones go, and the NPCs one here, and the monsters, you might notice how it's got like a 0 there. All I gotta do is I can just simply cycle between each individual object here and go through the entire list. I can also hold the button down and zip through the whole list. And of course it's also independent setups, because this is all NPCs related, so I can just check the whole thing. Objects are different, and of course I can just cycle through all this, and I can fast forward through a whole bunch of objects. Yeah, there's 2,000 objects that you can potentially have. And most of them, of course, are all deleted or empty because there's nothing there for that one, so it just gets skipped. And of course, as you go through the list of objects, you can see all their parameters. Like this one's got some animation. That's the Fiend key. There's a chest training key, which that one's not animating anymore simply because I've already collected it. And there's a final key, which is that big blue one there. The Fiend key is that red one there. And the Vault key, which is now known, is what that green one is. It's for a side quest. Once you get a certain key item from the King and Queen, once all 14 Great Fiends are defeated in all 12 areas. And of course you got your usual springs. And you got your spikes that you're probably familiar with. Left wall spikes, ceiling spikes, right wall spikes. And of course you got your ladders on here. Got another key somewhere. 6298. So let's see. I want to know exactly where this is, but I'm not sure where that is. All I gotta do is look at the hero main data. See where it says X pause, Y pause? And you got the hexadecimal position, and of course you also got an X and a Y on the far right in parentheses. That's the block position. That's what I use most frequently. So I'm currently at block 59X, that's the horizontal, and 323Y, which is the vertical. So let's go back to that item. That's at 60,298. If I go up, watch as I jump here. You can see that if I jump, the number goes lower. That's because Y0 is at the very top of the level. In case you're wondering on that. So, seeing that I'm at 220 or 233 there, on the wrong tab, and this one's at 298, that means it's going to be up, and it's almost straight up because I got 59 here versus 60 on here. So that means right about here is now 60. It's exactly straight up from here. That's how I can easily find where something is if I can't find where it is. So just as a reference on how I utilize this debug panel, it's got all the bounding box information, but not everything has bounding box info. Like here's passages. That treasure chest. There's a save point. And you remember that animated flag? Well, you can see the ATI, animation timer, and how it's constantly counting. Got a bunch of signs here. Got a lot of signs. Ah, here's the NPCs. You remember Troy Kane, right? Laura Semmet, Mitchell Ranzius, King Baricanna, Queen Anna, Ingrid Larine, another Red Spring. There's a lot of those. Door Weapon Shop. What is that about? I'll be showing you that in a short bit. And of course there's a bunch of those. And of course you got a whole bunch of signs here. Notice how it's all following simple patterns here. And you got a whole bunch of deleted stuff. Yeah, 2,000 objects. Monsters, yep, pretty much about the same thing. I can just cycle through all the monsters. I got up to 432 monsters that I can support at the moment, and that's because that's what Diskless Swamp has on Master Difficulty. It's swamped with monsters, if you want to call it that. And of course, all the rest of the stuff is nothing different. So, what are these keys all about? Well, you remember from that debug panel for all those objects, right? You got the keys here, except I went a little too far. This is the final key. That's for the final boss. When you defeat all 14 Great Fiends, you will have to go to speak with the King and Queen, and you'll get a key item with that. And from that, you'll be able to start a quest to hunt down 5 of these giant blue keys. Simply touch it to grab it. You might have noticed that there was a change on the debug panel there. Fiend key is this red one here. This is used for getting access to the great fiends. So, grab that. And of course the vault key is, of course, for that one side quest. There are 8 of these to actually find, but they're only findable once you get that key item from the king and queen. So, onward I go. This ladder, you might notice, is actually in the foreground, or background area, I should say. You might also notice the shop door thing. You remember that, right? I'll get to that very soon, and I mean very soon. This ladder is kind of more in the background area. Hey, that's that key I was referring to earlier. That's exactly where it was, straight up. This ladder is actually in the foreground. It's operated in the same way as before. Of course, it's a long ladder, so speedrunners take note of this tactic to quickly climb ladders, and you can work your way up to the top like that. And that's a passage right there, in case you're wondering. But I'm going to go cover those shop doors. Of course, I have to land on the spring. Watch that background going. This one here... Nope, not that. This is the weapon shop. This one over here is the armor shop. Over here is the accessory shop, noted by that diamond-studded gold ring. This one here is the item shop, with a leaf sort of thing. The magic shop has a staff. The inn should be pretty obvious. Potion shop is needed for your stat maxing using your excess gold. And then you got your fortune teller. You're probably wondering, what is the fortune teller all about? There's actually 2 fortune tellers. Kevin Peterson is the first one that you'll encounter and found in Lakrent of Tarn Crypt. And he just answers where questions, basically. There's the other one that's in Leicester of Larine's Carnival, Patricia Horgella, to be exact. She answers every other question. Of course, once you get that key item from a certain king and queen, then a new question will come on, and you'll get a lot of extra backstory stuff, courtesy from her. It's worth looking at. And of course, you can't forget the ever-familiar training center. That's what Mitchell Ranzius is all about, in case you're wondering on that. So, just make a big jump down. Who knows where I'm going? Use that spring. And of course, there's nothing way up there. Watching this background go. Oh boy, look at all those puffs. And of course, if I want to go back stuff, go anywhere I want, I just simply press the D button, and I can quickly move anywhere in the level that I want. You remember this from my first videos, right? And of course, if you get faster than 32 pixels per frame, you'll just fall like that. Fall off the screen. But I just wanted to show you that part of it. Of course, the big skid that I had there was completely unexpected. But now that I got some keys, let's go open those treasure chests. Of course, then I had to miss that. Alright, gotta use the slope. It's unlocked. Okay. You might notice the H is flashing. What's with all that? Something's interesting. Those green balls are actually recovery balls for HP. There's a blue variant as well for MP recovery. The bigger they are, the more they restore. There's like a small blue one there, and a small green one to go with it. But now I'm fully healed. How convenient. Just missed the spikes again. That's a hard jump to make, I'll tell you. And the faster you hit the spikes, the harder they hit. And of course, there's another treasure chest up here. Get some more recovery balls. And of course, you got some coins and diamonds and other stuff like that. You can see the recovery pop-ups, but you might also notice they're delayed. So what's with all these other things over here? These are passages, but I'll cover that in a short little bit. Because I want to activate this one other treasure chest up here. Yep, green balls again. 2,000. Grabbed. course, you got the diamonds and coins to go with it. And of course, this is another case where pausing the video can be used to read through what all these signs say. Danger, haunted. How funny. Skilled underwater swimmers wanted. Danger, keep out, because it's lava filled. And I wrote the song for that one, by the way. Same with this one. You might notice something here is a little different. There's a strike-through effect. Remember that 6153, right? And how it's now 21,500. Remember how the setting for that was up so high? Well, you remember from, let's see, Mount Celise. Remember that 6153? That is, let's see, it was with this one here. Remember that? And with these signs, one thing you'll frequently find is population counts are crossed out. It gives you a good sense on just what turmoil Pawnel has caused. Some towns, of course, are already small enough to begin with, but this town's an odd exception. Notice how it's actually increasing instead. It's a carnival town. Everyone wants to come there. That one's got a little extra on it. That's a huge sign there. And what's with all this error? Something strange about that. I love that ending part. Population 1. Me. And what's with all these error signs? Something is a little weird about that. Of course, it's actually just testing purposes, just to make sure that it's actually working right in the first place. And of course, if I go back to my other debug panel thing here, you might see that active ID is always changing, but this is actually just temporary stuff, along with this here. It allows me to be able to test stuff. Of course, all those are basically the same. Gliding is a special ability you'll have to pick up from one of those bosses. I'm just trying to get back. And you remember Helena Forest, right? To go into a passage, you just simply stand in front of it and press up. You don't have to press jump confirm. In fact, jump confirm does absolutely nothing until you get out of there. Down below, something looks a little different here. Puffs! I always gotta love puffs. What is that? That's actually water, believe it or not. I've actually added water in on a lot of these. And of course, got a little nice treasure chest here. I got some gold and diamonds and coins and stuff like that. So what happens when you go in the water? Splash! And you start making bubbles. But you also notice something a little different here too. Notice the H and M there. Notice that there's like a little meter there? That's your air meter, telling you how much air you've got available. When you surface, you'll recover air pretty quickly, but it's not constant. As long as your head is above water, you can basically stay. I could stay in here forever if I wanted. But if I start taking a dip, then the air starts coming. But if I actually look down here, the air starts depleting again. Just something to, of course, be careful with. I just wanted to show you that. You might also be noticing that odd part on the bottom of the background there. That's actually to be covered a short bit later. And back to the way I came. The fastest way I can go. Make some puffs. I love how these trees came out. They're just so amazing. And of course, go back into that passage. Normally you would actually return to exactly where the entrance was before, but right now I just have them all set to being in exactly the same position. But at least with that you can see exactly how the behavior works. Get back again. You may remember, it looks like the treasure chest reset. That's actually intended for now. Get a bunch of balls coming all over. There's Vinneres Coast, Diskless Swamp, I got Skyless Temple, I got so many different options. Then there was that Terran Crypt one up above. But this is actually how their signs are supposed to be laid out, just to give you the idea on how that is, in case you're wondering on that. Yeah, this is how I have Skyless Temple, or at least a temporary test subject at the moment. This is actually how the temple itself would be looking like, and I wrote the song for this particular thing, this particular area. But you remember how that sign said it was 21,300 or 500 feet above, right? Well, to give you a sense, those are mountains way down at the bottom there. For a sense on just how high this is. You can even see the curvature of the planet, basically, just because it's up so high. And of course, I also fixed that glitch that I had with the island there. But of course, under normal means, if you jump over the edge over here, you would enter Lake Shelley. It's a one-way trip though, however, so definitely keep that in mind. And if you go over the edge on this side over here, you would enter the normal area of Mount Celise. And of course you got this long route up, bumping this 64 scale background. It's really slow, but it's not the slowest. Mount Celise has the slowest moving background on the vertical. But if you notice closely, that island's got 3D effects with it. And of course this gets back to where I was. But since I don't have platforms to be able to get back up to the very top over here, I need to use my debug mode in order to do that. The debug mode also pauses the action of everything. What do you know? Terran Crypt. Remember this area, right? From the backgrounds overview video with all the spooky graves and the lightning and stuff going on? Whoa, 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 that was getting close. And I see a treasure chest up there. Wonder how I'm going to be able to get to that. That looks like a really tricky spot to get to. Well, boy, risk the damage there. And I get a bunch of diamonds and coins and stuff like that. I just have it set to being random, but I just wanted to show you exactly. Just wanted to show you that. I don't think that's the one. Yep, it is actually the one. So, use this and I can backtrack to where I started. And those clouds, if you remember from that background video, is actually ash rather than actual clouds. It's not stormy, it's just ash because of... The story will actually explain all that. So what about those other areas? I will cover those next. And you might have also noticed something. I got level 2 there. I thought I was 1. And of course I get empty recovery balls. Yep, the bigger they are, the more they recover. That little tiny one, get a little bit bigger, and then you got this giant one here. I've already been to Helena Forest. Let's go to, not Vinneres Coast, but Diskless Swamp. Let's get a swampy look. You remember this area from the backgrounds overview video, right? Nothing special here. A lot of brown down there. And yes, I'm actually intentionally missing all that. Make some puffs because I'm getting close. Something is odd here. What's going on? There's stuff underneath there. That's actually because that's actually the swamp water, believe it or not. It's very murky brown. Unlike most games, I actually set it so that the water has more realistic colors to it. Gotta love opening chests and getting a bunch of diamonds and stuff coming out of it. And yes, because that's water, you know what happens when you jump in, right? Splash! And of course you make a bunch of bubbles. You're probably also wondering what's going on with the surface there. That's actually algae all on the surface, just to give you a sense on how thick that algae is. Yep, walk in the swamp. So exciting that. It's very difficult to move through it because that algae really slows your movement, but it's otherwise harmless. It's what the intent is. So, I just wanted to show you that part of it. Watching my debug panel so I know when to stop. Normally you wouldn't be able to do that unless you really memorize how the background locations and similar stuff are. Let's head on back. Yep, right back up high in the air again. It's always exactly the same position if you might have been noticing that. Now let's go check out Vinneres Coast. Remember, if you remember that scene, it had all those islands in the tropical setting. Hey, level up! Hey, what do you know? I've actually implemented it so that way the treasure chests, when you open them, grant a little bit of experience. It's just for demonstration purposes only. And here's the beautiful Vinneres Coast. You remember this tropical setting, right? With that pretty blue water in the islands? Well, there's the blue water itself. And of course, the underview of it. Make a couple of puffs, using that to get a boost. And there's actually something I'm going to do about this particular area here, just to get an idea. And another thing is, I can also duck and look down on slopes. But it is kind of limited. Can't really slow down on that, but I can at least get to a point where if I'm looking, facing in the right direction, I can look down at that point. So down below, and of course, wouldn't you know it, I got another treasure chest. I always gotta love treasure chests. They're always funny. One thing about the water, however, to note is when you're in water, you can climb up on slopes much, much easier. This one you couldn't climb before, but you remember how I couldn't climb up this one anymore? Now I can. And watch the air meter. It's now yellow. That means air is getting low. What happens when your air runs out? You drown and you have to reload your last save because it's an instant game over at that point. And of course, standing here when you're not in, your head's above the water, yep, you can recover your air no problem at all. And another thing is, I can reset the chests by simply pressing the T button. It allows me to test various things, like all the level ups and getting the balls coming in and stuff like that. Hey, what is that? That's an item. There are actually 20 different items that can come from treasure chests. The balls, however, the green and blue ones, those do not come from treasure chests. They only come from enemies. I just have it from treasure chests so I can at least test them and kind of get a sense on how they are. But to grab an item, just simply touch it, just like that. Yep, I can just keep resetting it. I can just do this and just rapidly gain levels. Watching what random stuff comes out. But treasure chests also have stat potions that they can potentially have. I think I saw something go over the edge there. Now watch what happens when I do open it again. Level up times 2. Nice. That means I gain 2 levels at once. So as far as, yep, there was stuff that actually went down there. How funny. So, what's this about the song? It's a very catchy song that I made for this particular area. And I'll be playing it at different speeds, as usual, for which the speeds are explained in the video description. Do note that I kind of have a bit of a bug going on. I kind of have an idea what the cause is, but I don't exactly know for sure the if that's will fix it. But if you look at it more when you're kind of level with the surface, it's actually pretty much spot on. But when you get up high, like up in here for example, and of course look down, you can see that it's not quite aligned right. That's just something I'll have to fix in a later update. And of course, the splash here is actually a little on the bigger side, but I might just stick with it as is for now anyway. Anyway, I will do something a little special with these treasure chests regarding the resetting and the leveling up, just so you can see how it goes. Oh, what was that other orb thing there, that cyan colored one? That's another item, just a item that you'd use in the menus. I think that's the mystic orb if I remember. Anyway, this video was created by Ulillillia. Thank you for watching, and enjoy the song. And all the mayhem. Ooh, there is a stat potion right there. When you grab that, what happens? Your stats increase. I will be simulating what all these stats increases are when I make the play the song. It'll be based on a warrior with heavy armor, no accessory to boost your stat, and basically normal mode from there and standard difficulty. So enjoy all the mayhem that's about to come up.